Lost at the edge of known space, the TARDIS has materialized somewhere that the Doctor has never been before. All that and more on today's exciting episode of Doctor Who, the special number 2. What's up, my know-it-alls? Well, it's time. Once again, we're talking about Doctor Who, and I'm so excited. Of course,
I can't tell.
No, right, totally. Join me, of course, is my lovely companion, Mrs. Know-it-all. And I tell you what, this was fun. This was fun. This was a really, really good deep dive episode that I thought did a really great job. Really, this felt about as Russell T Davies as you could possibly get, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. First blush reaction. What are your thoughts out the gate?
I loved it. It was. I don't know. I got nothing bad to say. So
no, for sure.
It was great. Sure. It was great.
No, for sure. No, and it was. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So overall, the episode. It's funny. You get this really quirky, really fun moment where the very first place the TARDIS accidentally stumbles to for whatever crazy reason is Sir Isaac Newton, and specifically the apple tree above his head. And so and they messed up the word mavity instead of gravity. So that was a quirky little...
And they brought back to it too.
No, totally. It's a little ridiculous piece of ridiculousness that I think felt very Russell T Davies in terms of how they've done things in the past. Then we actually get into the episode itself. The intro happens like it's supposed to, and they find themselves on a ship of some kind. The TARDIS slams into this thing. The Doctor, he's like, oh man, it was beautiful, this and that, whatever, and it was brand new. And the whole thing is essentially tore itself apart. So he's got to fix it, and so he puts the TARDIS into its repair mode, and suddenly it disappears. And when it disappears, he explains to Donna that there's this system on board called the HADS system.
Hostile Action Displacement System. If the TARDIS is in danger, it goes away.
Goes away?
Anyway, and it only comes back once the danger is gone.
But will come back when the danger is past. So that's that classic moment that you guys saw from the trailer when Donna says,
there's something on this ship that's so bad the TARDIS ran away.
Yes.
Then we go and kick its ass!
Right? So
that's why I love Donna.
Oh my God, she's the best. She's absolutely great. And so they're like, all right, well, we have to figure out what the problem is. And so that's what they do. They go out, there's this long hallway, and they see what looks like something. It's this little teeny robot guy. So they make it down there. The Doctor manages to...
He's not too tiny.
No, he's actually pretty big, but from far away he's real small.
Yeah, he's like...
No, for sure. But and something happens. The ship says a thing, and all of a sudden stuff starts changing, and it's reconfiguring, and the robot takes a step. And he's like, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. And so they're a little confused, but he manages, the Doctor, because he knows everything about everywhere, he manages to realize, hey, we need to get this. There's a little trolley that they can get out of the thing.
If I'm correct.
Yeah, totally. And he pushes the little thing, it comes up, and then they go. They take, and Donna this time she's going to drive, and so she jumps in the driver's seat and whizzes them down to the very end. They get down to what I assume is the bridge, and while they're in the bridge. They get in, they look through stuff. The Doctor manages to determine he can kind of more or less read what's going on. Now, this is the very first time this has happened. The TARDIS is gone. The Doctor can't understand or read. It's not translating because apparently translation stuff has to do with the TARDIS.
Right.
I was confused because I always thought that he was linked to it, and so long as he's around, that somehow, I don't know, I just never really fully realized that it also works that way for him. I always thought him and the TARDIS were very much linked, always. And so that's one of the reasons why, but he apparently speaks 5 billion, some odd 12 languages or whatever. 50 million, whatever, 50, 11 billion languages. And
he was so precise with that too.
No, totally. So a couple of things. I like the fact that Donna in this early part she's very worried about home. She reminds me of Martha. The first time after Donna came on board and we ran into Martha during the Sontaran stratagem episodes, and Martha talks to her and is like, hey, yeah, you need to be watch out, be careful, watch out for yourself, this and that. She gives her kind of a friendly warning, but it's not a warning like a bad warning. It's just a warning like, hey, you know what? Careful. You're gonna, you know what I'm saying? There's things. Right, and you have to be careful if you want to make her come home. Always have people to come home to and come home. So now she's like, I got my daughter to go to, this and that. So the doctor in the control room manages to realize that there's this other area they go to, and there looks like these control chip things. And so he tells Donna, I'm gonna go check something else. You sit here and move these things. So he leaves the room. So Donna's in one room, and the doctor's in another. Then
it gets cold.
It gets cold. The way we've seen in horror movies. Ghosts, right? It's the whole breath in front of your face thing. So then the doctor comes back into Donna's room and proceeds to kind of have a talk with her. And she's like, hey, I just want to tell you something. And she proceeds to start telling him stuff. And this is where she starts telling him how she imagines it would be. She's like, just let me finish this whole thing out. And she talks about, if we don't come back, what's going to happen? People are going to go on with their lives. How long is it going to be? This and that. And she gets to one part about her grandfather, and she says, if I know him, he'll probably just sit there in a chair waiting. I know they're going to come back. I'm going to wait right here. And I tell you what, it was really heartfelt. And the doctor's like, oh, well, this and that. And then the doctor says something funny. He goes,
my arms are too long.
Yeah. Wow.
She thinks it's some weird alien spaceman jargon, like whatever. Yeah. Like
another thing that he came up with 15 years ago.
Yeah, like a figure of speech.
Yeah.
Then we cut to where the doctor had gone, and he's still there. Like, he's doing his thing. And then Donna walks in, and she's talking to him. And she's talking to him, and as they're having a conversation, she begins to start asking him about all those things, this and that, where have you been? What did you do? And she's like, I saw things. I saw some things. She's like, I saw the flux. It's the very first time that we get a reference to Jodie Whittaker's era. So for those of you at home who thought, oh, well, maybe they'll just brush Jodie Whittaker's era out of the way, this and that, because she says, don't you want to go home too? He's like, yeah, but it's complicated. She's like, yeah, but you don't know where your home is. Because Jodie Whittaker now doesn't know where home is, because we have the new origin for the Doctor based in The Timeless Child. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever your beliefs are, whatever, doesn't matter to me. It's at the end of the day, Doctor Who's a story. We're here. I exist and I enjoy my fandom here in the present.
Yeah.
However that's presented. I will say this episode is immensely better than last week's episode in terms of storytelling, how the story is written. This was actually good writing, and that you can always tell the difference when it's really good writing. So then after that moment, there's a quick. She says something similar. She's like, "Yeah, my arm is too long." He's like, "What?" And it's very much a similar thing where they start to realize
this is not who they are. Yeah.
And so both of them run out, and they're facing each other, and the one's behind them with the long arms, and they're very confused, and clearly these entities, whatever they are latching onto them and reading their minds somehow, or at least know their information. They know what they know. And so the Doctor and Donna have to figure out what's going to go on, and so they're like, well, we're going to leave, and they run out. These things get bigger and proceed to start looking like monsters, and they're running
massive
down
sides of them.
Absolutely. And they're going down the hall until finally they've grown too big for the space. So the Doctor and Donna stop briefly, and they're trying to think through some stuff, and finally they're like, we should try this other thing, and they go, because they're breaking free, clearly. So they go, and they try to head up to they go up this little walk, this like stairway thing. Then the building does its thing again. It shifts.
Great.
We cut back to the robot, and the robot has taken another step. Meanwhile, the walls all shift. The Doctor slides down a chute. Donna slides down a different chute. They're both in different hallways. Once that happens, they as they're walking through, both of them get a cold sense again. So they already know what potentially that could mean. They both break through into other rooms, and as they come through, same thing, they both encounter another version of them. This time, I mean, we know as the audience, because of where they're located, we know who's who. But like the new versions are really convincing. Like the doctor version, the fake doctor, he takes his tie off and he's like, all right, if you see anybody else, and they're talking really well. And same thing with Donna, the Donna one. At one point or another, Donna makes the realization that the doctor, that it's not him because the tie is gone. She was already starting to be suspicious, but the tie he took off no longer materialized once it's away from him. Right. And that's when the creature's like, oh my God, this and this and this. The other Donna, the doctor tries to, she manages to convince the real doctor that it's her.
Donna, is that you?
Yeah.
All those years, I missed you.
And they go to hug, and just as they go to hug, something like she breaks down and she can't keep it up, and she half melts. Like literally, she's half melted. Her shoes are partially sticking up out of the puddle. And so the doctor's like, oh my goodness, and they all run out. And this time they all get to the same room, all 4 of them, from different angles and corridors and doors. So the doctor does some mental math, essentially kind of deducing some things. And finally, they manage to, they know who is each other, and they both separate themselves from the other 2 using a big glass door thing. So they're now on the cockpit side. This is when the real acting begins. This whole episode is basically a giant bottle episode. There's because the only people in this episode are the Doctor and Donna. The only other thing is that robot that moves, kind of. The only physical sets, I believe, from what I can see, was the room they crashed in, the gangplank way where they first walk out of that room, and then the cockpit, or the bridge rather, and the hallway bits from those 2 halls they were in. And the room's obviously off the bridge. The rest of that corridor, I believe, is probably the volume or a volume of some sort. Yeah. It's not. I don't think it's not green screen because it looks way better than green screen. Yeah. But still, it has that slight hit
that Disney money?
I was gonna say definitely Disney money. I was gonna say a Hidden Valley. No, that uncanny valleyness of it, so it just looks like a hair too far.
Yeah.
Okay, it just feels a little bit too wrong. So that other being said, so then there's this really wonderful moment. The Doctor works out these doppelgangers. We'll call them doppelgangers. He says, I want to talk to you, not you, the Doctor, but you, the entity.
I just want to talk to you, not Doctor, because I know you're a fake, I know for a fact, so I want to know why you're doing this.
And he gets out of it. It came from the nothing. They're on the edge of creation. They're at the edge of the universe. There's nothing past that.
No stars.
It's right. It's the classic. I looked out into the darkness, and the darkness looked back. I mean, it's what's there. They come from that, and they could detect or sense us. And to them, war, negativity, bloodlust, all these horrible emotions of ours reached out. At one point, Donna makes a joke, and the other one's like, yeah, love letters don't travel that far. Okay, sorry. And so they want to come, take over this ship, and destroy themselves. The trick is, these doppelgangers, in order to speed up the process of assimilating Donna and Doctor's brains so that they can better be doppelgangers, they need them to think. Mm-hmm. So they're making them panic. Because panicking raises your adrenaline level, makes your brain start moving, and you start going fast. Well, the Doctor can't help himself. He's got to work it out because he never found a puzzle in life he didn't want to try to figure out. And so there's this clanging and thunking, and finally they see outside there's this horse-faced alien. I say it's a skull, but it looks like basically they stuck a horse face on a horse skull inside of a humanoid type spacesuit. Yeah.
He totally forgot to say that 3 years ago the airlock opened and then closed and never opened again. When
the Doctor was, you're right, when he was figuring out their language, he saw on the computer, and Donna latched onto that. Because she kept trying to figure out, well, what is it? Maybe it was these creatures coming in.
So now we know why.
Right. At this point in the story, we actually learn the opposite. The captain left the ship. Once the captain worked out what was going on, rather than let these creatures take the ship, completely assimilate her, and know how to fly it and leave, she instituted the best thing she could, which is a really incredibly slow countdown. The alien number thing you're hearing is numbers. This little teeny robot had 3 years to walk down a long corridor to get to where it's gonna push the button, and it's so slow with such a simple mind that the doppelgangers couldn't work it out. This is such a great story in terms of it has very much gleanings of like Utopia or some of those other Russell T Davies episodes from previous Doctor Who years when he was doing the David Tennant Doctor. In that RTD is really good at these big ideas. The concept that what's
past the universe.
Right.
What is actually past the universe?
Right. In Torchwood, they explore death. What is actually death? Is it darkness? Is it nothing? Do you cease to exist? In this, it's this idea that beyond the edge of the universe is something. But what is it? And so again, always love the big head games that RTD plays because it always works in great into these things. I'm genuinely excited for it. What from this thus far? What did you think of that part? Just how the mental, like this whole, like they're the only two in the episode.
Oh no,
so they're acting against each other, and this idea. I mean, imagine having two David Tennants acting like imagine your favorite 10 episode of with David Tennant as a doctor, and he gets to act against himself.
Right.
He gets to be doppelganger doctor and himself doctor, and it's amazing.
I don't know if I would, because I love the episode. I don't know if I would have liked it as much if Donna wasn't, being a smart butt to herself.
Oh my gosh, that was so
I
great.
love Donna.
She's so great. Oh, it's so good. So then, as they're sort of coming to this conclusion, they realize this whole place is a bomb. And now that they have that information, they know how to stop it. They have to stop the robot. And so, because the whole time they're having this conversation, doppelgangers are sitting here trying to work out the computers and the doors and stuff.
And they keep going back and forth.
Right. And the doctor's doing the same thing, trying to counter break them. So doctor basically explains to Donna, we have to speed up. We have to speed up this process. Now that they know what it is, there's nothing to hide. We got to speed it up because they cannot be allowed to leave this ship. This ship cannot be allowed to exist anymore. And Donna's already like, wait a minute, what am I failing this and that? And he's like, look, I'm really sorry. We'll try to get it. And then they manage to get the door open. The doctor institutes the thing. They're running after one is
Yeah.
It's literally two doctors and two Donnas chasing each other, and it is
two doctors and two
brilliant.
Donnas.
It is so it is so great, especially because Donna catches herself and proceeds to have this knockdown, drag out fight with herself. That's amazing.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, feels so good" when she smacks herself.
Oh, this is therapeutic.
Right? So then the doctor realizes. He doesn't have, because the other doppelganger goes on all fours and starts running, very animal-like. And finally, the doctor realizes if this is all done, and they're going to do their thing, then the threat is technically over, and the TARDIS can show up, and that's what it does. The TARDIS shows up, and the doctor goes to.
I think that's what she's talking about. Whatever he says is the connection with the doctor.
Yeah.
It knows exactly whether it's a translator or that they are one.
Absolutely. No, they really are. Or he said it last episode, it's his oldest friend.
Yep.
The TARDIS is literally his oldest friend. And he goes to the two Donnas, and he's trying to work out quickly. He takes the wrong Donna. And as he's in the ship.
I think he purposely did it.
As he's in the ship trying to figure some stuff out, the computer measures her arms. And you find out her arm was shorter. He realizes it. Immediately, he hits this ejector thing. The platform pops up and kicks her out of the TARDIS, just as Donna runs up and gets in the TARDIS. And you're like, all right, right on. And then the thing blows up. And they manage to save the day. Yay! And that's when they both are like, they really take a minute to take stock. You realize the doctor, and she looks at him and she's like, are you okay? Because she realizes, because he's like, well, the other Donna, do you know something? Do you remember anything from when you were the Dr. Donna? And she's like, no, I don't. And he's like, well, the other you knew some stuff, which means you must have something in there. And she goes, well, maybe it's because its big alien brain was just able to make more sense of whatever. But every time I think of that time, all I see is fire.
Oh, wow.
And so I feel like, because the doctor, she looks at him and she's like, are you okay? What happened during that time? During the 15 years, which we know for him was way more than that. And he says a lot. And she's like, well, are you okay? And he's like, well, yeah. I mean, and she's like, yeah. And she knows. You can tell because there's a shorthand between the two of them, both the actors and the characters. There's a lot that's happening here, clearly. Well, and then you get to the very end. They go back. They land right where they were. They're a couple of days later. And who's outside the door?
Oh.
Wilfred Mott, let's go. Right where she said he would be. Well, the other her, whatever. But he was sitting right there waiting. And he's like, what's going on? I can't believe you came to greet. He's like, oh, no, I knew you'd save us. Like, well, what?
Because Donna doesn't realize that they're a couple days behind, and the doctor doesn't get a chance to tell Donna just yet.
Right. And so what happened? I believe we rolled into what's going to be the next episode.
Yeah.
So that's where it leaves off, is that there's trouble, people are fighting in the streets, and something's going to have to happen. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. What's on our index for this episode for us? What is your first thought?
8.
Right on, man. That's a solid 8. I'm gonna go one better. I'm gonna get 8.5. This was I thought it was an excellent episode when it comes to being an RTD episode. And I've already seen the trailer for next week. It was real short, more of a tease, really. So I know for a fact next week we're getting the Toy Maker. We're going to see some deeper stuff. And then you see that moment where the Doctor is standing there and he starts to glow, so you know he's going to regenerate. And then they cut to a moment that you see Ncuti Gatwa standing in the current TARDIS with the tie on, but the shirt, so you know he's regenerated. So let's just do some quick speculation. I think we're going to get either one of two things. Either A, he's going to regenerate by the end of the episode, which is usually how it happens. Mm-hmm. Usually the regeneration is in of itself a cliffhanger.
Right.
And then, because we know right afterwards we're getting an episode called Ruby Road, or the something on Ruby Road. It's another episode. It's one of the first episodes with Ncuti Gatwa, and where he meets his companion. I tend to want to lean on. We're going to see about 2/3 of the way through. I think they're going to do something they don't normally do, which is going to get a regeneration mid-episode.
I don't like that idea.
And then we're going to see Ncuti Gatwa end the episode. Yeah. We're going to see him in the episode. We're probably going to get that moment we talked about last week where he invites
our speculation.
Yeah, where he invites Donna and her husband's like,
I don't know. I want to think that we're going to see a little bit of Rose before everything has to turn over completely.
I hope so too.
I feel like she might. I don't know. I'd like to see more of Rose. I really would.
I would too. I think she would
bring her
character.
with, or
sure,
just for a little bit even.
Why not? No, for sure.
So she could understand. And if they're going against the Toy Maker, seriously, it wouldn't surprise me if Rose is there, because Rose has all those animals from the person in.
Right. It sort of sets itself up, doesn't it?
What was it? I don't remember.
Oh, the meat thing.
No.
Oh, the guy in Dubai?
Yeah, Dubai, that's where it was, yeah.
Yeah.
The buyer in Dubai wants all these toys.
Who wants to buy all the toys, yeah. So comment below. Let us know your thoughts. What did you think of the episode? I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, it has shades of earlier RTDs. Nobody had a soapbox to stand on, which I didn't have a problem with last week. Even the line at the end, which felt a little counterproductive to kind of the story they had been putting through the rest of the way. But at the same time, this episode I thought really touched home with all the things that I loved about a good, creepy RTD episode. It had shades of Are You My Mommy? It had shades of Blink. It had shades of all those things that really make that era. And I know those episodes were written by different writers, but from that era though, it felt really good. And I think and it was a closed episode. I mean, it was in a bottle set. We didn't see a lot.
You did point something out. Some of the mannerisms of the Doctor. We noticed it too. He's doing things that Matt Smith's Doctor would have done, that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor would have done, that Peter Capaldi, Doctor would have done. You see little glimpses of that in him because he's lived those 3 lives already.
So the Doctor,
without coming straight out.
David Tennant Doctor, as a 10 Doctor, was never very overly affectionate. He would hug, of course, in bad situations. The Doctors have always hugged, no, that's whatever else. But I feel like the moment Donna starts panicking, and you see David Tennant grab her hands, kiss her hands, and tell her it's going to be okay, that it felt very Matt Smith. It felt very much like they were, hence why I decided to don my Matt Smithiest today. And it felt really like that from I like the fact that he's being informed by more of those. And now the one thing I also thought was really good, and it was interesting, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but it just worked. Because of everything that happened in the Flux with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, the fact that the Flux destroyed a good segment, if not half of the universe, and that was never fixed. That means that chaos happened. That chaos happened in space, it happened in the universe. The Doctor lives in a universe in which an enemy that was after him destroyed and ravaged the universe. And who bears the weight better of something than David Tennant? Okay, when he played the Doctor having to bear the weight of the Time War, it was you saw it. This just gives him a new weight to have to carry, and it fits on his shoulders. And I feel like if Ncuti Gatwa gets to be it gets to be some variation of the idea of him recovering from that and becoming more along the lines of the Doctor we've known, I'm happy with that too. I think it's going to be good. So I'm excited. Comment below. Let me know what you think of this, what's coming. Speculate below. Let's talk more. But all right, guys, until next week, I'm excited to see what happens because the Toy Maker's coming.
Yes.
Never forget.
Everyone loves a know-it-all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.